So I'm Josh Perkin at Tennessee Tech University. I'm sitting here with Phil Bettoli, who is a 2012 inductee into the American Fisheries Society Fisheries Management Section Hall of Excellence. Phil is the leader of the Tennessee Cooperative Fishery Research Unit at Tennessee Tech University. Okay. How did you become involved with the American Fisheries Society, and why did you decide to be a part of the Fisheries Management Section?
Well, when you're an undergraduate, where I went to school, there was never heard of the American Fisheries Society, and it wasn't until I ended up in grad school and studying fish and realized, oh, well, this is the profession I've chosen. Just like a doctor or a lawyer, what's your professional society? And it's clearly there's only one choice in this, and that's American Fisheries Society. That's where we're going to go. We want to be a professional. That's what professionals do. So that was, again, a no-brainer. And then getting into the fisheries management section was just like joining the education section when I became an educator working on a university campus. No-brainer. Fisheries management section, all those people there doing kind of what I like to do, and that is do applied research. So it was an easy fit for sure.
Okay, Phil, how did being involved with the AFS benefit your career?
Well, Josh, this may be hard to believe for someone as young as you, but there was a time when there was no internet, believe it or not. The only way you would know what other people are doing was to read the papers they published, if you were in academic type research, or to go to meetings, or know them personally. And the way you got to know people personally was go to meetings. So from the get-go, AFS was always, one of the best parts of it professionally was that they put on meetings. We have state chapter meetings where you get to know the local folks, you get the regional meetings, start to reach out a little bit further. People in other states working on similar sorts of things, but in their systems, learning a lot from people who've gone before you. And then, of course, the big kahuna when we go to the Parent Society meeting every year, we're hearing about and listening to what people are doing all over the world. And without the AFS, of course, AFS fulfilled that role of the professional society in doing what I think is one of the most important things they do. The meetings, which provides for the networking, which provides for all the personal interactions, which I'm sure most people, you included, I assume, would agree that the meetings are one of the best things that the society does to help us out professionally. Yeah, the fact that they also are the society that produces all these publication outlets for us, of course, is maybe number two in importance to people in the society. And couldn't imagine being successful in this career without being engaged in American Fisheries Society.
So did you have mentors, and who were the people that influenced your career?
Of course I had mentors. I don't know anyone who got this far in life or started a career, and I'm near the end of mine, without having mentors. My first one was the assistant unit leader at Tennessee chapter, Mike Van Enabel. You wouldn't know him because he retired a few years ago as the USGS unit leader at the University of Georgia unit. He took me under his wing when I was orphaned as a graduate student, and that, you know what orphan means as a graduate student?
Yeah. Your advisor leaves.
Your advisor leaves
and
job. Says good luck.
Yeah.
And Mike Van Enabel, the assistant unit leader, was there. He didn't have to take me on, but he did out of the goodness of his heart because he thought it was maybe the right thing to do. And my whole career was set from then. Because after I finished my program with Mike, he pointed me towards his mentor, Dr. Rich Noble at Texas A&M, and that was my first job. And that job led to my PhD program, and the rest is history. And I couldn't imagine having two better mentors.
So did you consider careers other than fisheries?
From a young age, I knew I was going to be a wildlife biologist, because that's what you saw on TV. You would see people dealing with wildlife. Never really fisheries. You didn't see much of that in the 60s growing up. And so I was fully prepared to train to be the best wildlife biologist the world had ever seen. And I worked with grad students as an undergraduate. I worked on projects with them ranging from moose surveys, browse surveys for deer, woodcock, mating behaviors, pine marten population assessments, all kinds of wildlife issues. And it wasn't until my junior year when I got an internship, not with a wildlife biologist, but with some fish biologists in the Fish and Wildlife Service, that I got for the first time to actually handle the thing we were studying, which was fish. Mm-hmm. That first net came out of the water, was hooked, and that was it. Went back to University of Maine, said I'm going to finish my wildlife degree, but I need to start taking some fisheries classes. and I haven't regretted that decision ever since. But from an early age, I was going to be in this profession. I just went from terrestrial to aquatic. Once I realized that I never got to touch the deer, or the moose, or the bear, or the pine marten. Maybe if I stayed with it, I could have put a radio collar on an animal every now and again. But for the most part, you were studying the habitat and the signs they left behind. And that could have been, of course, very rewarding, but it was something magical. I think folks who are in the profession understand exactly what I'm talking about. Is when you get to hold that fish and understand those communities very up close and personal. That was made it for me. Never considered any other career.
Yeah, so more intimate interactions with the organism.
Yep. I just don't want to study what they left behind. I'd like to actually see them and hold them, as it were.
Yeah. Good. Good. So wow, you were
which is unusual for.
You were pretty far into your undergrad degree when you decided fish.
It was just that happenstance that I was so disappointed I didn't get assigned to a wildlife unit in the Fish and Wildlife Service. Okay, it's fish. I like fishing. It'll be fine. It'll be a nice way to spend the summer. And then that was it. It literally changed on a dime. I remember exactly where I was when it happened, too. So. Getting maudlin here. No.
Can you tell us where
well,
exactly
I was pulling gill nets in Allegheny Reservoir in western Pennsylvania with a Fish and Wildlife Service Fisheries Assistance Office then. And it was probably the second day on the job. And I went, oh my goodness. If this had been working again with terrestrial wildlife, we would have been looking at browse and scats and tracks and things. But to pull that net up, it was almost a religious experience, and it was very special. And made the decision within a few days, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, so what does being inducted in the Hall of Excellence mean to you?
I'm still speechless. I was speechless when I got the call. I was unable to make the meeting. I had to take care of some family business. The guys who nominated me, the guys and gals who nominated me, wrote letters on my behalf and kept it very secret. I was flabbergasted, even more so when I saw the list of names in the Hall of Excellence, and it's an honor I'm still speechless about. Just a wonderful, wonderful honor that I still am not sure I'm fully deserving of.
Well, Phil, you've made a lot of contributions to the field of fisheries. That's how I knew Tennessee Tech University before I was on the faculty here. Your name is pretty widely recognized within the American Fisheries Society. What would you say your biggest contribution to the field of fisheries has been?
I think that the plaque says it all. The plaque, the nomination letter, as it were. And it's got to be the students. It's not because I'm the sharpest tool in the shed. There's no way that's true. Because I've worked around so many brilliant, hardworking fish folks. But it's the 57 plus that I have. Number 57 is in the hopper now. And they have made me look very, very good. And I have a feeling that all the academics in the HOE who came before me would say pretty much the same thing. That they took their mentoring job seriously. The kids, the students, make us look good when they enter the career, prepared to make an impact and do good work. And that reflects beautifully on them, of course, reflects well on Tennessee Tech and our program here, and of course it makes me look good. So my biggest contribution, without even thinking about it, the second time would be the students that I've been able to put out there, and again, hopefully have great careers and do good stuff.
Yeah, 57 is an impressive number.
You can look at it that way, others look at it a different way. It's a strategy we had at Tennessee Tech. It was very easy for me to get funding. It was falling off the log easy to get funding for grad students, not so in other places. So even on a small project where I probably didn't need a graduate student, they were there for the taking. And so it just made perfect sense. So I could take a small amount of money and leverage it with a free student, as it were, and try to do some good work.
So certainly a lot of mentoring goes into interactions with the grad students, but for the rest of us, what words of wisdom would you leave us with?
Wear your sunscreen. All of you youngsters need to wear your sunscreen and big floppy hats, number one, because we want to live long, productive lives and not suffer the maladies that will come to you if you just don't take care of yourself, especially those of us who are in the field biology realm. I got asked for some advice just recently by a former student, which is always kind of fun, and listen to the situation, the problem, and my advice to that student was the same as I'd given to probably anyone, and you as well, is that you want to endeavor to be around people who bring out the best in you, who make you feel good about yourself, both professionally and personally. Minimize your time with folks that don't bring out the best in you, that you may have some issues dealing with, although you're going to have to learn how to get along with everybody, because here it is, words of wisdom. We like to think it's about the fish. It's almost never about the fish. It's about the people, right? It's about the regulators protecting endangered species. It's about the fishermen who are paying, for a lot of us, they're supporting our work all across the board. Regulators who are setting regulations based on the work we are doing, the information we're providing to them. So we turn that around. We always used to say it's all about the fish, but in fact it's probably all about the people. And let's not forget about that.
Yeah. So, any thoughts on your co-inductees into the Hall of Excellence?
Well, this is, I guess a word or two, that once I got into academia and I realized that that was going to be my career, and I ended up working with state biologists all the time and interacting with them at the regional meetings where I'd see, I always worked with Tennessee biologists, but interact with biologists at conferences and workshops from all over the Southeast region. That's probably where it really started. And early on, I decided to have Phil Bettoli's Hall of Fame in regards to State Fishery Biologist Hall of Fame. And I could have called Hall of Excellence, but I went with the Hall of Fame route. And one of the first inductees into my Hall of Fame was a fellow member in the HOE, and that was Jeff Boxrucker. Because I saw in a guy like that, a fellow who he could have easily taken the easy route and done his job well, and then call it a day every day, put his time in, do good work, and not really go that next step beyond, just working hard. And watching what he did, his interest in research, which is part of his state job, but in outreach and in networking and in publishing and in organizing conferences, he was just amazing. So early on I told him that, and he's still embarrassed. And if he watches this video, he's going to be even more embarrassed. Others that are in my personal Hall of Fame in the fisheries management arena for state biologists, Scott Van Horn, who's an HOE inductee. These guys are just fantastic, and I always hope, would be very happy if some of my students would have the opportunity to go work for people like that. That's just a few of the names that are in there. My mentor, Rick Schnobel, is also in there, and that's just, again, a total treat to be on that same list with him.
Yeah, great.